Good morning. Welcome to Get Real America. Am I there? Hello.
There you are.
Hey, well, let's get under the wire here, which is what we're trying to do here this morning. Good morning.
Yes.
Ah,
Welcome to Get
yeah,
Real America.
yeah, it's Thursday already.
It sure
Getting
is.
ready for the weekend. Getting cooler, and it looks like it's going to be beautiful for the weekend as well. So at
Can't
least
beat
around
that.
here in Savannah.
Yes, and there is plenty to do this weekend, so make sure you get out. We're headed into Halloween season, which is one of my favorite times of year in
Yeah,
Savannah because we are supposedly the most haunted city.
that's
So,
right. Yeah, and we have places that are considered the most haunted in the United States.
oh, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Um,
My mother, apropos nothing, but my mother, some of the last years of her life, was a tour guide at the Lowe House, not Juliet Lowe's. I think it's her grandfather or something like that, or her father. But the colonel, they said sometimes people saw him in his study, and, they
oh,
would, and she said she never saw anything. But some people claim that they'd open the door and the colonel would be sitting there in his study, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. Hmm.
really
Interesting.
creepy. Yeah, really creepy. I love the ghost tours. The walking tours are super fun. I've been on a couple of those.
There's something to it.
Yes, they're also great for a date night. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So get out there. And nothing's better than a scary movie or like haunted houses
Yeah.
and I don't know if you guys have haunted houses here. Do you guys do
Oh, yeah.
those?
Oh yeah, all over the place,
Okay.
and
Okay.
and also the haunted tours that they have as well,
Yes.
the graveyard tours and things of that nature.
Yeah, the Bonaventure tour
Yeah, the
with
Bonaventure. I
with
highly
Shannon
recommend it.
Scott is do that.
Highly recommend it. They have actors at some of the grave sites telling you, these people are that are buried there. They're dressed in the proper costumes and dressed as those people dressed in those days. Tell you who they are, what they did, their accomplishments, and that sort of thing. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, and there's lots of it here. I know that there's so many tour companies here that are doing it, but
Without a doubt.
I've been on several that are very, very good. So
Mhm.
make sure you check it out. So last night, the Republican debate.
Mhm.
Did you watch it?
I did. I watched
did?
some of it anyway.
Okay. How did you feel about it?
I thought it was pretty good. I didn't see any, really outstanding moments. I'll tell you what, the governor of North Dakota nailed it on the electric cars thing when they asked him about how would you handle that auto strike.
He was the only one that understood that you have to answer the question in like a way that people understand. Not we're going to get money into the pockets of Americans. Like
Yeah.
I'm sick of hearing those
Yeah.
stupid answers.
Mhm.
Or Chris Christie, who wanted to bring Trump's name into every answer that he had. I'm a little over that as well.
How much did he rehearse that Donald Duck line?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so ridiculous. I'm
it's
like, oh, it took
from
you
the mirror,
like
Donald Duck.
10 years to come up with that? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
for sure.
Chris Christie, definitely not anyone I would vote for. Definitely lackluster at best.
But I would vote for any of them over what we got. I would-
You're not wrong, but I think that we should start going with the best of the best
I agree.
again here in this country. I don't think that we've thrown that out the window in both sides of the party. So I'm like, how about we get some people that actually know what they're talking about? I know there was, for some reason, Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy seem to dislike each other at a level that is just interesting to me. They have gone at each other at both debates. They have gone after each other.
She fusses at him because he had a company in China, which he got rid of. And she thinks he's kind of fake. And then they answered that Sean Hannity had him on post
Yeah.
last night, and had them both on. And Nikki continued her rant, but Vivek said, "Okay, well," he said, "I did sell that company, and this is politics, and and I understand the back and forth, but I respect everybody on that stage, and we're not. And I'm running for president of the United States. I'm not running against them."
Yeah, well, and the interesting thing about the debate too was that it was so hard to listen to and watch because they just kept yelling and shouting over each other. Definitely not a big fan of that. I do think they have way too many people on that stage. It makes it really hard to even. It's not really a debate; it's more of a forum. But
I think the next one is like the 26th of October or something like that that's coming up, and they said they're only going to cut it down to like 4 for the next one.
well, that's good.
Which is about what it ought to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take a look.
Now to the race for the White House, Republican candidates facing off again tonight, this time at the Reagan Library in California. And with frontrunner Donald Trump once again missing, those on stage trying hard to stand out. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger with the story.
In front of Ronald Reagan's Air Force One and in the presidential library dedicated to the GOP's biggest modern-day hero,
Thank you for speaking while I'm interrupting. While I'm speaking.
No, you said
If I may finish. If I may finish.
The current field of candidates for the nomination was reduced to this.
Gentlemen, you'll have your turn.
One of the challenges
So listen up.
we should have
Please focus on the issue. We
between
know we
Vivek
did
and Vivek.
business in China. Everybody knows that.
If I may.
The 7 candidates who aren't named Trump took shots at one another, at President Biden.
I refuse to be a passive bystander sitting in the White House like the hollowed out husk of a current president we have.
Joe Biden doesn't belong on a picket line. He belongs on the unemployment line.
Our money should be about keeping Americans safe. We're not doing that. Joe Biden's not doing that.
6 million illegal crossings since Joe Biden has taken office.
And a couple at the elephant not in the room.
Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight. He owes it to you to defend his record where they added $7.8 trillion to the debt.
Donald, I know you're watching. You can't help yourself. I know you're watching, okay? And you're not here tonight, not because of polls and not because of your indictments. You're not here tonight because you're afraid.
The former president, under indictment in 4 jurisdictions, is 40 points ahead in the most recent polling and treated the second debate much the same way as he did the first, counter-programming it, in this case with a rally in Detroit.
You know, we're competing with the job candidates. They're all running for a job. No, they're all job candidates. They want to be in the, they'll do anything. Secretary of something. They even say VP. I don't know. Does anybody see any VP in the group? I don't think so.
Each one of these candidates was hunting for an opportunity to break out of the pack and seriously challenge Trump, but the path to that goal seems almost impossible. Take Chris Christie. The former New Jersey governor has been aggressively targeting the former president for months now, and recent polling suggests barely 3% of Republicans would vote for Christie.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
Pretty much sums it up there on Eyewitness News.
Yeah, well, it's funny because a lot of the sentiment around Donald Trump and not being there was the guy in Michigan, which was Trump because he had a rally last night, was way more interesting than the gang in California. I will say Trump's an entertainer. People do prefer that. I believe we have the results of who won the debate last night.
Yeah.
If we could throw those up.
Sure. Let's take a look, because there's always the experts that come along and tell you what you should know.
Yes. Well, and
So, there
guess
you have it.
if you look at this, you can see the breakdown. It looks like Trump won the debate without ever being there, which is pretty typical. And then Vivek Ramaswamy follows him, Ron DeSantis, and then, of course, then we get into like the 6% and below, Nikki, Mike. I don't know how that happened, but Tim Scott, Chris Christie, Doug Burgum, Asa Hutchinson, and then 5% said don't know. But
Asa Hutchinson wasn't there either.
I know. It's so hilarious. That's the thing. People don't even.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Despite,
don't even know.
Despite the fact that what he might think, the country is not on the verge of Asa Hutchinson mania.
No. Well,
Yeah.
and actually, the North Dakota governor, he did well.
Yeah, he did very well.
I do like his straightforward answers. I do think he does a great job of explaining things in a way.
He'd be an excellent president. I mean, he founded a $1 billion corporation. This guy knows his stuff, and we need business people now. We need people who understand the free enterprise system. That's why Donald Trump was so successful. He was able to negotiate all of these things.
Well, the thing about it is, too, Bill, is unfortunately we have, instead of having role models that are business people and intellectual thinkers, we now idolize celebrities who have nothing upstairs to offer. You have people like Taylor Swift who kind of control this crazy group of women that are probably about my age and maybe a little bit younger, but
She could be such a great influence.
Yep.
If she knew what she was talking about.
Yes, but she's
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
but she's being utilized by, from what I understand, George Soros is the one that actually bought the library of her music that she was so upset about a few years ago. And I think now they are utilizing her to spread the message to these crazy females that are just following her blindly, don't do their own research. But that's what happens. You start idolizing people like that instead of people that know what they're talking about or that intellectually think about things. I think that's why you're seeing people like the governor of North Dakota. He's boring. I mean, honestly, he's just a normal, business guy where you get Trump, and he is bombastic and he's entertaining and he was made for TV.
Absolutely.
And so I think that that's kind of what we're seeing in the difference in how people vote. It's like, who's the most sensationalized out of the candidates? Not the best person for the job necessarily, but I do think that Trump's policies, they were good. We have seen that they work. So I think that that's the difference with Trump. He's kind of this once in a lifetime personality too, because he is a business guy. He does understand how to negotiate deals, and he's also bombastic, which entertaining, which people love. So kind of an interesting mix with Trump that you probably aren't going to see again.
Yeah, and there's no middle of the road with Trump. You love him or hate him. It's one of those deals.
Yep, exactly.
But you can hate him all you want to as far as how he handles things, but notice how much more successful we were. The border was under control. Inflation was less than 2%. Gasoline was less than,
Thumbs up, Bill.
Gasoline was less than $3 a gallon. In fact, in many cases, they said gasoline would never go below $2 a gallon again. All the experts said that. And once again, the experts were wrong. They get it because we went under $2 a gallon in some places.
Yeah.
When Trump was there.
Yeah, the experts have done a real number on this country, haven't they?
Yeah, they really have.
One of the things to just touch on really quick with Donald Trump and the Mar-a-Lago thing is that the reason that they're saying that it is being the... if we're doing that, then let's start going places and saying the tax assessor says that it's only worth this much, so you have to sell it to me for this, and if not, I'm going to sue you. How do you think that's going to go?
Well, we're going to go over well.
Yeah. Case law.
Yeah. Well, the whole problem that we have here is that we're listening to these. You talk about the folks from the Taylor Swift concerts and things of that nature. Remember, these people are paying. Some people are paying $6,000 to $8,000 for a ticket. And these are people that were eating Tide Pods 5 years ago.
Yes, so that's the problem. And they're the people that are voting. That's exciting, isn't it, Bill?
Yeah, it really is. That's not good.
No.
So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, well, and Lizzie Warren is with us this morning, and she has a lot to say. Nikki is the fakest of them all. Pence, she has like a green barfy face.
Well, he was such milquetoast last night. He's never been very dynamic. But he was just, and his makeup was awful. Makeup was just awful. He looked like really pasty.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing is that he paused for an applause that he didn't get, and that was real awkward. And then Lizzie Warren says, who listens to a pop singer for political advice? All of these young children that want to be influencers. And Lizzie Warren, mortgage rates have skyrocketed under Biden. They sure have. I do think that is the real problem with our country, is that you have a lot of political people that have no idea what politics is like, controlling a conversation that they know nothing about.
Yeah. Charles Payne really went off on the electric cars this morning on Fox and Friends. And I hope we'll have a clip for you of that next week, because he was just livid about the president going and talking to these guys on the picket line. He said they're picketing, and he said, and don't blame the strikers that they have not gotten the wages that they deserve. Now, what they're asking for now is ridiculous, and I do mean ridiculous with a capital ridic. It is just absolutely pathetic what's going on, and as far as what's happening, and he said they deserve more money. They deserve, the great working conditions, but they're getting less because these electric cars, they cost less. You have fewer workers that needed to make them. And he said, and the Chinese are raping the earth, destroying the planet, and these mines over in Africa where they're doing this strip mining to get all these rare earth minerals. So he said, if you think you're saving the planet by getting an electric car, you've lost your mind.
Yep, that's the whole problem, is that people have been lied to and manipulated for years. And I mean, the climate change stuff, I mean, I'm sure it started before this, but I remember, elementary, middle school, they started kind of talking about it in school. And granted, I'm from a rural area, so it's kind of like, we farmed, we did things like that. So for us, it didn't make sense. So,
mm-hmm. So whatever is going to be, but we'll be that there's certainly more to talk about this coming up. And we have some financial advice for you coming your way today. Travis Chance is going to be with us to talk about what's going on
He's the
in
best.
the financial world, as well as Jay Ratliff explaining to us what's happening in the sky, aviation analyst and expert. So we have that. We also have a candidate we want you to meet running for District 4, Callum Crampton. So stick around.
The Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Are you a mom or dad? Do you have little kids with big dreams? Well, hopefully your kids aren't white or Asian, because if they are, they will have a very hard time getting into their dream college or landing their dream job. Top schools and corporations are run by left-wing Democrats, and they openly discriminate against whites and Asians. So even if your daughter has the best test scores, even if your son has amazing grades, even if they spend extra hours studying and doing everything right, it won't be enough. Unless you suddenly discover that you're part Cherokee, or transgender, or in the country illegally. Otherwise, your kids are out of luck. Which begs the question, if Democrats are hurting your children, why would you ever vote for them? Stop the bigotry. Stop the insanity. Paid for by Citizens for Sanity.
I don't think it's an accident that I ended up writing music for a living, because I think I lived in a house where I saw how deeply it affected everyone in the house. And just how much everyone defined themselves by the music they listened to.
Music as a framework, I think, gave my parents my identity from a young age. You can like any music that you want if it makes you feel happy. And now when I hear certain songs, I think of them, and I think of them in their happiest state, and it makes me happy.
If they seem like they're having trouble talking about something, I try to tell them about a time when I felt something similar.
Whatever the issue was, we would tell them the pros and cons and how important it was, and that they had come to us because we could always help them. I think the real important point, we always told them, no matter what you do, no matter what happens, we will help you through it no matter what it is.
Welcome back to Get Real America. I'm Bill Edwards. Glad to have you aboard, and also glad to be talking once again with Travis Chance, CFG Wealth Management, to find out what's going on financially and to help you out as well, because you might be wondering where your money's going besides Ukraine. Travis, I was looking over the Vanguard website, and they're talking about a kind of a bull type thing. Problems basically brought on by the pandemic from a couple of years back.
Bill, first of all, you totally threw me.
Welcome back to Get Real America. I'm Bill Edwards. Glad to have you aboard, and also glad to be talking once again with Travis Chance, CFC Wealth Management, to find out what's going on financially and to help you out as well, because you might be wondering where your money's going besides Ukraine. Travis, I was looking over the Vanguard website, and they're talking about a kind of a global type thing, and that the EU right now is having all these troubles because of the war in Ukraine, because of supply chain problems, basically brought on by the pandemic from a couple of years back. Welcome back to Get Real America.
Not that it's not that I think we're in any danger of going back into another 2022 again, but I do think this time is different, right? You always hear that this time's different. Well, I think this time is different because the last recessions, the last corrections that we've had, we've always seen the Fed come in. They've interjected themselves. They've caused stimulus in to push the markets higher almost immediately. And people just aren't getting that. So one of the things I do want to make mention to your listeners and everybody, you know, it's easy for us to be pessimistic. It's very difficult to stay optimistic. But I do think this is a time to be optimistic for the long term. We're going to have these 2-month, 3-month cycles where it's bull and bust. But that is a normal market. That's how it worked before all this intervention. And I just want everybody to kind of stay patient and kind of keep moving forward, because this is going to be a short-lived situation. This is not going to be something that we're going to be sitting here dealing with, you know, a couple years down the road. So it's just important just to keep our eye on the ball and stay a little bit optimistic and not always veer to the pessimistic. Because if all you do is watch CDNC or whatever, I'm sorry, CNBC or MSDNC or whatever, it's very easy. You watch those and you go, we just need to sell everything, move to New Zealand. Well, they don't have it real great in New Zealand either. So just don't be as pessimistic. Listen to Bill's show. Stay off some of the other ones. You'll probably be okay.
Yeah. Well, what are you seeing right now as far as, the Fed has been doing this incrementalism of stepping up rates? Do you see that are they cooling off a little bit and trying to back off?
Bill, I've given up. I told you, I gave up a few months back trying to guess what the Fed's going to do, because you read the data and try to read between the lines, and that's what you have to do with their Fed speak, because they try to stay somewhat ambiguous unless they want to come out and appear hawkish or dovish intentionally. But they kind of talk out of both sides of their mouths, what my grandmother used to say. They don't really give clear guidance, but it's like, okay, well, he said this, and maybe this is his inflection. At the end of the day, I don't speak Fed, right? I mean, at the end of the day, what we're facing is the Federal Reserve raised rates so rapidly that we are still dealing with rates from their rate hikes back in the spring, if not the last part of 22. So once we digest these, I think we'll start to flatten out, and you'll see rates potentially start coming back down next year. But they weren't kidding. They said they're going to keep rates higher for longer, and I think people need to be prepared for that. And that's been something we haven't seen in 40 years, and we're at almost 20-year highs on the 10-year Treasury and the 30-year mortgage rate. So, I mean, this is just a new environment. It's a different animal than we've had to deal with before or in recent memory, and you just got to stay patient and make sure you don't make mistakes.
Well, I think one of the most important things, Travis, is when we to go to somebody like you and an investor, and I know that you are very generously have offered any of our viewers to call in and say they heard it here, and you'll give them a 20-minute session at no cost or obligation. And I think people need to take advantage of that, because you work with places like Allianz and others that they do. They look through the electron microscope, so to speak, at all of these things, and they find a pathway through all of this. They navigate through all of this mess so that your portfolio can grow.
unfortunately, there's no one on this earth that is all knowing and omnipotent, right? None
Yeah.
of us knows everything. We have to depend on, and I always tell you when I go to conferences, I try to find the conferences and the continuing education where I am the dumbest person in the room, because I want to learn from those much more intelligent than me, and I am not on an ego trip. I'm there to benefit our clients. And I think that's really the perspective I think advisors need to take, is because we are there to be a deciphering tool for the client, because a lot of what you read is and I'm not saying that people can't get this, but it's so complicated, it's so complex. A lot of people just throw their hands up like, I'm not dealing with that. I'm just going to put it in my mattress. That's not always the best idea, right? And that's our job, to help decipher this and actually help bring it down to the level that people can understand. This is what's going on. These are some of the things you need to really worry about, take advantage of, etc. And that's our job, right? It's to be that guiding light. We're the lighthouse showing them the way, and that's what we need to be doing. Now, I hate to say, in our industry, we've a lot of times fallen short of that, but that's one of the things